And here are the plates coming out. Yeah, until they reach... until they reach the rest of the factory, they're not going to be any... it's going to be running a little suboptimally for a while. I'm standing here. And gee, I don't know. I think a couple of them really are red. Hang on a minute. Did I forget to program these or something? Looks like I did. Yeah, those make plates. And this one makes plates. I knew I'd forget something. Which always do. It's not a guarantee, but it could happen anyway. Now these rods are going to have to wait for... What the... I don't see how that's possible. How could there have... Okay, this doesn't mean just... This isn't just anything here. The entire coal plant has shut down, and that, very honestly, doesn't make sense. I was going the wrong way. I gotta go around this and up it. See how they could have blown a fuse. I mean, I ran the calculations myself. It should have been able to take the load. I mean, that's 300 megawatts. That's a pretty hefty amount to... pretty hefty amount to exceed. Am I even going to be able to see what happened? Or will enough time have passed that... Well, that graph you're supposed to look at... will it have... Okay, well, that question, where... here we go. What could possibly be going on here? Run out of coal, could it? Yeah, it's gonna be backed up like this. What are the indicators on this thing? watching this, and yeah, this is nowhere. The maximum it consumed is 274. Well, that's up there, but it's supposed to be for the whole network. What could have done this? It's building up anyway, but I don't understand how this is possible. There isn't enough of a load, even with that plant, there isn't enough of a load to trip the fuses. So, I mean, unless what's happening is I have to go over to that big combination plant and start turn everything off, and then start turning things back on, like bit by bit, after I've reset the fuse. That may be what I'm going to have to do, especially since I've wired a couple of things up to it. Although even with that, they shouldn't be using any power. I turn the miners to stuff that I'm not using off. Maybe I should turn the rest of that stuff off. And then start turning it back on. Bit by bit. No idea what could have been what could have caused this. If that's the way I have to do this, then fine. I'm turning everything off, resetting the fuse, and then turning it all back on one by one. Starting here. I think the store is already off. Sure how it could be consuming any power when it's not making anything. But I think that copper plant, the one that made the wires, it had a few things to run through, but it should have stopped after that. I think I've got all the constructors turned off. I'll turn the assemblers off. I'm going to go over to the concrete plants and turn everything there off too. Not just the mine, the whole thing. Not just the mine, the whole thing. Let's get to turn all that back on. I only turned one miner off. Looks like that's what happens. Forgot to turn the other miner off. Forgot there were two of them in here. It's a simple plant, though. I mean, the most it ever takes is 18 megawatts. I mean, I imagine all this adds up, but I mean, that big combination plant should only take like 176. Plus 18, that's 190. Let's see how that's possible. Something. 194. The store, I think, is switched off. Then you add the overhead, the 29 megawatts it takes to run the plant itself. Now we're up to I think 223. And this stuff, this I don't really remember. It's got two smelters. Six constructors. Maybe 5 constructors. I think it is only 5. So it's 24. Plus 5 is another 29. Well, to make a long story short, we are north of 200, but it still shouldn't be that much. In other words, there's no reason for that fuse to have tripped unless there's something wrong with too much machinery going into operation at the same time. I'll go back down there, I'll reset the fuse, and if it trips 2 seconds later again, then I am out of ideas. I'm not sure whether I should shut everything, cut the things that maintain the coal plant off too. does make sense on the surface, but I mean, it's only 39 megawatts, and I don't even think it can shut the pump off. Why am I running out of water here? Shut this off for now. Maybe see if... maybe that was the problem. So what I should really do is... there's almost nothing left in this one coal plant. Although that doesn't make sense either. I've made it so that that all of the water is used. I don't see how... starting to fail on me too. It isn't getting enough water. That might actually be what's going on here. It's possible that one of these plants ran out of water somehow. I mean, it's building up now, but one of these plants ran out of water, despite the fact that it really shouldn't have. I mean, this pump, very honestly, it looked like it got everything where it needed to be, but that's not the case either. It's possible that I might need to put another pump in. Let me see something here. Rate. That's kind of low, isn't it? It should be 300. And this, oh, it's 120 a minute, and that, okay, I suppose that makes sense, but the amount of water this uses, it should be 120 cubic meters per minute, and these, they use 45. Let me turn this one on. And this over here, it's full, but I'm going to turn it on right now. Huh. Oh, is it the water? If you look real closely, it's dipping below 50 every now and again. but those dips are getting more frequent. I'm feeling I'm gonna have to shut all these off and then rejigger this setup a little bit so that it can maybe it needs more of a pump here. Notice that one of this one here, if it's not consistently below 49, but maybe it has to do with the amount of power it's using. This pump up to here. It's pretty steady. The head lift is 8.65, something like that. But it's the maximum head lift for this is 20, and as you can see, it's nowhere near that. All right, so I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll turn on the big plant, the one that uses 176 or so megawatts. Then come back here and see what the water level's like.